Hello and welcome to Wingin It. So with the series tied at 1-1, it is time for Game 3, the round 2 match of the CCCC against Kip. So if you haven't seen the first two parts of this series, I recommend checking those out. Some interesting games for sure. But yeah, we both took one win, Kip winning the first game. I did manage to drag it back just about in the second game. And here we go. As a best of 3 series, tied at 1-1, we go into Game 3. So Kip, with the superior point difference across the first 2 games, gets the privilege of going first here. So we will be going second, and let's get stuck right into the starting hand. And all in all, a really good starting hand. I think we've got some good options for both the forest and the wetlands, which is always what you want to see in a starting hand. A good bonus card as well in the ethologist. That's kind of an instant keep for me at this point. But yeah, you know, the Wilson Snipe kind of jumps out to me as the obvious keep for sure. Really cheap bird to be getting down 5 points, strong brown power, getting extra cards as well. And then 2 very nice forest birds in the red-bellied woodpecker and the Cooper's hawk. So yeah, certainly if I can get maybe one or both of those down, that's just going to allow me to get some extra food or maybe some extra points. So certainly is going to be, yeah, a good start for me there. You will see I'm kind of considering this GoldenEye as well. I'm just trying to work out if there is a way for me to get that to fit into my setup. I think it is, you know, normally a good idea to at least consider keeping some of these pink powers early in the game. I think you know that in most situations you are going to see your opponent laying quite a few eggs. So particularly where you have a matching nest type like this, with the GoldenEye working with that red-bellied woodpecker, then it is worth considering. So you see I was kind of thinking, oh, can I keep the GoldenEye instead of the hawk? But I think it was just going to be that little bit too expensive. The food in the bird feeder was set up quite nicely to do that. But just kind of planning out this first round, I'm thinking, you know, if I get this hawk and this woodpecker down, that's going to give me access to 3 food. And then I can pretty easily get the food for the snipe, play that, start drawing some cards. And yeah, it doesn't really matter what I find. If I can be grabbing 3 food in a single turn, I'm going to be able to play most birds. So yeah, in the end, a fairly straightforward pick, I think. Cooper's hawk as well is going to be so strong for this first end of round goal, just at least helping me get something. I think particularly where these first end of round goals, if they are eggs in a certain nest, there's absolutely no guarantee that your opponent is going to have one of those nest types. So if you do manage to keep one of those yourself, you can pretty easily snatch 4 points uncontested with just a single egg in that first round. So yeah, like I said, straightforward, get the Cooper's hawk down, and then I can look to lay eggs on that. And then even when I play a bird, I'm still going to have that extra egg on there. So I can just kind of monitor the situation, see how this first round develops. You know, maybe my opponent does have a platform nest bird with a lot of egg spaces. So if that is the case, I can just concede and not worry about it. But equally, if they don't, I can make sure I do have that single egg on there so that I'm at least qualifying. So yeah, like I said, get the hawk down, lay eggs on it. Then the plan here certainly is to get this red-bellied woodpecker down. Then there's the worm in the bird feeder for me to grab for the Wilson Snipe. And then I can make use of the woodpecker power with that seed. Now, my opponent on their next turn, they play the great crested flycatcher. And so that forces me to go a little bit defensive here. So the flycatcher power is you gain a worm from the bird feeder if there is one. And the bird feeder was just set up in such a way where there's only one worm. And so if I take that, my opponent can't take food and reroll. You know, they'd have to ditch a card if they were going to do that, which is an option, but it's not normally something you want to do, particularly where you don't have a wetlands in this situation, like they don't have a wetlands. So yeah, it obviously is going to be more optimal for me personally to play the woodpecker and then gain food, because I'm going to be getting more food in that single turn. But it just felt like a good opportunity here to kind of mess with my opponent a little bit. And it didn't actually slow down my tempo at all, because, you know, really, I just needed that worm. And now I've got the 2 worms, so I need to play both these birds. It's actually, you know, you can consider it to be more optimal to draw cards first before going for food. So if I do play this Wilson Snipe, start drawing some cards, then I can see what birds I have and then work out what food I need to get. Whereas obviously if I played the woodpecker first, I'd be grabbing food, not really knowing what food I need, because I don't have the birds yet. So yeah, you see my opponent did go for food, and they couldn't make the most of that flycatcher power. So just being able to slow them down that little bit, so especially in the early game, is so crucial. These first 8 turns are really vital to get the resources you need, be that bird cards or the food to play those bird cards, and just get things set up, get your engine, get your foundation built up in this first round. And even just slowing your opponent down, maybe 1 or 2 turns from doing that, that can be really frustrating for them to deal with. So yeah, they do go for food in the end on that second turn, and they do get the worm. So yeah, they obviously were looking for that worm. Maybe they have a bird to play, or just generally being able to get those extra resources is so nice. So we go for cards here, and it's a really good pickup straight away. Blind from the top of the deck, the Savvy's Warbler. Another one of these co-op card powers, similar to the Snipe, although the Snipe gives everyone a single card from the deck, whereas the Savvy's Warbler, I'm going to get 2 cards, and they can be from the tray, whereas my opponent is just going to get 1, and it is from the deck. So certainly a stronger power. And yeah, if I play both of these, obviously I will have to be a bit cautious, because I'm going to be giving away 2 cards a turn to my opponent, but I'm going to be drawing 5. So I think in situations like that, where you can minimize the number of turns you have to spend in the wetlands, that just saves you turns, allowing you to spend those laying eggs or playing big point birds. We do, unfortunately though, reveal the rough there. So this is one of those really strong round end powers from the European expansion. You tuck up to 3 cards from your hand and then draw replacements. So if you play that in round 1, you're potentially giving yourself 12 tuck cards throughout the rest of the game, while also giving yourself that passive card cycle. And particularly, if I'm going to set up this strong wetlands where I'm drawing lots of cards, chances are I'm going to draw lots of dud cards. So just being able to turn those into points, and then also maybe swap those out for some stronger cards as well through the tucking. That would be really, really nice. So yeah, I think in most situations I'm going to sit here and expect my opponent to take it. But fortunately, I do get away with one a bit here, because they choose to play their Barn Solo instead. So obviously for them, kind of crucial to get that down for the end of round. But yeah, I am certainly not going to be passing up the opportunity to get this rough. Like I said, just with all these extra cards I'm going to have, really, really crucial for me to get this and get it down. And obviously it's a different power color, so maybe that comes into play for the Ethologist as well. Maybe I can get a couple of extra points. So yeah, you'll see that I do obviously grab the rough and then get a really nice pull from the top of the deck with the Wilson Snipe. That spotted Tauhi, really, really good as a food source. And yeah, now I'm kind of just really considering my options and trying to think, right, do I need to still build up this forest? Obviously, plan A was to go with the Hawk and get this Woodpecker down as well for that strong forest. But, if I can get the Tauhi down in the grasslands, potentially alongside this rough, then I'm going to be getting eggs, I'm going to be getting seeds as well, all the while scoring points. It's going to be such a strong option to have. So you see I go for food here, and I'm going to get a single food. Now, I was thinking about discarding to get the extra food, and then that's just going to allow me to play the Tauhi straight away in that second round. But ultimately I decided I want to keep the card, because I'm kind of thinking from my hand, right, what have I got that I'd want to keep versus tucking? So I think the Tauhi is a must keep, the Savvy's Warbler is a must keep, and so that only really leaves those 3 extra cards. And yeah, unless you've got something really amazing that you don't want to tuck, I think you should always be looking to make the most of that rough power at the end of the round, and make sure that you get those tuck cards for the points, but also that extra card cycle. So yeah, we get the rough down. Obviously, unfortunately, we are going to lose this end of round, but I think it's worthwhile, because like I say, I'm going to get these extra points here through the rough, and you never know, I might get some better cards as well. So we have those 3 cards, we're going to tuck those, turn those into points, and then see what we can get. So a couple of blind draws from the deck, not great options really there, but that Vo Swift is one I do have my eye on, just as something as second forest bird, maybe if I do need to go for food, particularly if I do have this 5 card wetlands where I'm going to be drawing so much, then just having that option of turning that into a bit more food is certainly a good option to have. So yeah, we go here into round 2, and like I said, it's just going to be going for food here. Again, kind of thinking, do I discard, do I keep? In the end, I decide to discard here, just because it might help me get this Savvy's Warbler down that a little bit quicker. And then, once I've got that down, I can start drawing cards. That's going to give me enough cards, certainly to feed maybe the Voe Swift when I'm going for food, but also the Rough at this round end. So that's really going to be important, getting all those cards. So we skip forward a couple of turns. You see we've got the Towhee down. We've laid eggs to get the food now. In that time, my opponent played the Baltimore Oriole, so obviously a very strong bird in its own right. But that is going to be useful for me as well, and just giving me a bit of extra food. So yeah, you'll see I did get the free cherry there, alongside the seed from the previous turn on the Towhee. So I decided I was going to force down this Voe Swift. I've got this American White Pelican in my hand that I'm never going to be playing in a million years. So I know for these next 3 turns, I can pretty safely take food. That's going to give me 2 food that I want, and then obviously a worm from the Voe Swift. On my next turn, I can use that worm to play the Savvy's Warbler, and then have that final turn drawing cards. And yeah, hopefully I get some good cards, but even if I don't, they're all going to get turned into points, and hopefully stronger cards as well, through that Rough's power at round end. So yeah, like I said, go for food, get the food I want. Unfortunately, Cooper's Hawk, again, carrying over from some previous games where I've not had the best luck with that card, but never mind. Like I say, we've got the food we want, and we can look to get this Warbler down. And here we go. As I said, we've got the food, we've got that Warbler down, and we're going to go for cards. So my opponent building up a really nice Wetlands engine themselves, which is concerning, but also actually makes me feel not so bad about throwing these cards around, because they're going to have really easy access to cards. So yeah, throwing a couple of extra their way, in the grand scheme of things, not going to make too much difference to them. But it's going to make the world of difference to me here. So yeah, again, like I said, not the best pickups from the deck, but as long as I have at least 3 cards that I don't want, I'm fine with that. They're all going to get tucked under the rough. So did grab the red cockaded woodpecker from the tray, just because I've got the food for it. It's going to be a nice addition to this forest, just help flesh it out a bit, build it out into that extra column, but also give me a bonus card as well. So yeah, I can potentially look to play some more birds later in the game, hopefully some that are going to count towards that bonus card as well. So I think anytime you play a bonus card bird like this, kind of in the mid game rather than in the late game, you still give yourself time to work towards that and hopefully get some points. And here we go, we're at the round end. So you see my opponent did play another bird, but we're going to use this rough power now. So 3 birds that we don't particularly want, turn those into points, and then obviously these cards as well that we're going to be getting from the deck. So again, a couple of not great pickups, but that White-throated Swift is going to be really, really good for me. Again, kind of like the same point as the Voe Swift earlier. Anytime you have such strong card access like this, drawing 5 cards a turn, if I can, have a way of turning those into extra points, or obviously in the Voe Swift case, some extra food, and in the White-throated Swift's case, even more points through those eggs. That's just going to be really nice. So yeah, in quite a fortunate position here. I've got already 1 egg down, which means I can, look to play this White-throated Swift. And then the next time I lay eggs, I'm going to be getting some more eggs, some more points through the tuck cards. That's just going to be really nice to me. So yeah, it feels like a straightforward few turns at least. Try and flesh out this grasslands a bit more. Maybe look to get that woodpecker down. And then it's just going to be about drawing cards. And again, if I get good cards, I can look to play them. If I don't, they're just going to get turned into points, either through the rough or through the White-throated Swift. On my next turn, actually, though, I do decide to go for cards here now. Purely the reason for that is there's a chaffinch in the tray, and that scares me. So it's not a bad option for me. Obviously, I'm going to have some extra cards, like I said, that can potentially be turned into points. But yeah, if my opponent with this really strong wetlands, they're going to be seeing lots of cards. Obviously, with the Savvy's Warbler and the Wilson Snipe, I'm giving them even more cards. So yeah, that kind of chaffinch for me felt like such a strong bird for my opponent. They could play that either in the forest if they want to get some more food, or play it in the grasslands and just spam that late game, get loads of eggs and loads of tuck cards. And yeah, like I said, that was just really a big concern for me. So I was always going to be drawing cards at some point this round. I didn't have to pay an egg to do so, so I felt like it didn't hurt my tempo too much in the end. And yeah, actually, alongside that, a couple of good pickups from the deck. So you see I was looking at that snow bunting there. This is one of those pink powers where every time your opponent tucks a card, you get a tuck and then draw a replacement. So again, good for the passive card cycle like the Ruff, but also can work quite nicely as a defense mechanism, particularly against the strong kind of tucking engine that my opponent is building up here in their wetlands. So yeah, that's potentially one I could look to play. Obviously works well with the Ethologist bonus card as well. But also you see I grabbed the Canada Goose from the deck. So this is a pretty good combination here with the Spotted Towhee. So obviously the Towhee is going to give me seeds, and then I can immediately turn those seeds into 2 tuck cards through the Canada Goose. And yeah, I mean, in this position where, again, I'm not really drawing amazing big point birds that I'm going to be looking to play, those seeds are not really going to be turned into anything useful. So if I can instead have this Canada Goose down, turn this into tuck cards, that's going to give me potential for a really strong point scoring engine later in the game. So I'll just skip forward a couple of turns here. You'll see I did play the White-throated Swift. I laid eggs, and that's going to give me eggs here to play the Red-cockaded Woodpecker. So like I said earlier, just a good option to get that down. Obviously can benefit from some of this free food my opponent's been giving me. Yeah, it's going to score points. Hopefully get a good bonus card from it as well. Let's see what we're going to get. And all things considered, that is a really good pickup. Backyard Birder, ordinarily not the kind of bonus card you want to be seeing. But I'm already 3 points on that bonus card, and I'm only 1 bird away from hitting that top threshold. And guess what bird I was already going to play that meets that? Yep, the Canada Goose. So that kind of cements my position really here. I know I can play that Canada Goose, and ordinarily playing a 3-point bird like that late in the game, particularly in that 4th column onwards where you're already paying 2 eggs to do so, it can feel a little bit frustrating and a little bit slow. But yeah, obviously I'm going to get loads of points through the tucking power whenever I lay eggs, but getting a few extra points through that bonus card as well definitely softens the blow a bit here. So yeah, as we kind of go towards the end of this 3rd round, my end game feels pretty straightforward. I grab food, I play this Canada Goose, and then I just lay eggs for the rest of the game. I've got the right cards to do that. I've got enough egg space. Pretty nice end game for me. And so we jump ahead once again to a couple of turns in the future. Like I said, went for food, and then I can get this goose down. So I've had a couple of spare seeds. As long as I make sure I have 1 extra for the next time I lay eggs, then every time I lay eggs, I'm going to be discarding 1, but then gaining 1 straight back with the Towhee. So that's going to be really nice. And yeah, here we go again with the Ruff. Getting those 3 cards to tuck. Just kind of deciding which ones I like the least. But it's not going to matter too much because I think probably my late game here, like I said, pretty straightforward. Just look to lay eggs for the rest of the game. It's a huge point scoring engine. And I've got the cards necessary to tuck under that White-throated Swift. So yeah, it's just all about kind of thinking and, okay, maybe is there going to be a better option for me to play a bird? But when you have an 8-point grasslands like this, it's very rare that you find yourself in a position where playing a bird is going to be the better option. So yeah, here we go, straight into the final round. No messing about, we're just going to go and lay eggs like I said. So really, really nice engine to be able to score 8 points like this in the final round. It's just so strong. So obviously I'm going to get 4 eggs here, just laying the eggs. I can turn a seed into 2 tuck cards through the goose, and then I tuck another card behind the Swift and get an egg. And then obviously that Towhee is going to give me the seed back that I spent on the goose. And so all ready for next turn when I choose to go lay eggs again. I'm just going to be able to repeat this for the rest of the game and score a huge number of points. So on to my next turn here. You see my opponent went for food, and as a result I got a couple of free food there. So they activate their Hermit Thrush. But then also I got a free cherry from the Oriole. So kind of what I'm thinking here is, if I play the Snow Bunting, I can still score the 8 points effectively from that, because it's going to get me 5 points for playing it. Okay, it cost me 2 eggs, but then I get those 2 points straight back through the Ethologist bonus card. So it's still a 5-point play, but also I'm going to have some extra food here. And so 3 turns laying eggs, I can discard 3 food and get 3 more points from that. So yeah, effectively playing the Snow Bunting, it's equivalent to laying the eggs. Obviously comes with the food cost, but it gives me the chance of maybe getting some extra points because, okay, only 3 turns left, but maybe my opponent is going to draw cards, or maybe they found Benelli's Eagle or something like that. Playing that would still activate the Snow Bunting. So it just gives me some options here for potentially getting a few extra points as we go towards the end of the game. But yeah, other than that, I certainly think from here on in, my best option is just going to be play eggs for 3 turns, get those 9 points now each turn, discarding the foods, and then be very satisfied with that. So we'll jump forward again here to the end of the round. As I said, not too much thinking to do on those last few turns. In the end, I didn't get any snow bunting activations, but like I said, it didn't affect the points at all there. The only real annoyance is not being able to have any cards left over for this rough. But each of those cards I had was worth 1 point with the rough, but it was worth 2 points with the swift, so certainly worth tucking there. And yeah, we go here into the scores. So I felt pretty confident about this one. I think just that engine I managed to set up in the final round, you know, like I said, when you score 8 points a turn, it's such a huge advantage to have. So obviously knowing I am a little bit behind here after the bird cards and the bonus points and even the end of round goals, but this is really where my strength is going to be. Plenty of eggs and then lots and lots of tuck cards in the end as well. And it's 102 points to 83 in the end. So very strong win to score over 100. I think you can always be happy with that. And yeah, certainly of the 3 games in the series, it felt good to finally put in what I felt was a good performance. And we go through into the next round, which is what this is all about. So yeah, all in all, pretty happy with that. Good strong engine set up in the end, scoring lots and lots of points, and being able to max out Backyard Birder and obviously score some points from Mythologist as well was very, very nice. So there we have it. That concludes the series. We go through to the next round. And thank you everyone for watching. So if you aren't subscribed, please do, so that you can stay up to date with future games in this tournament, as well as other gameplay and strategy content.